I would say good morning and good afternoon to you all. The first two sessions has been extremely stimulating, and we have a wonderful audience here who are extremely receptive to the debate. Mr. Kaushik, our president of the chamber, my chairman, Dr. Salunkeji, Dr. Renu Shomji, who is the master of the ceremony for today's function, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. I was actually wondering, my travel from 4:30 in the morning from Pune to this venue is more than productive at this point of time. And when we had the last conversation on sustainability, I would like all of you to sustain for some time till the appetizing lunch is getting ready. And I would love to have questions from the audience. So I thought of possibly putting a little kind of a change in the model. I've been teaching all the time, and when this question came about Gen Zs, and my chairman said, you're going to take this topic, I was wondering for 2 seconds whether I'm the right person. A, because probably that could have been spoken much better, deliberated by someone probably half of my age. 2, I'm not in any social media, so I was wondering how much I can impact the audience. Probably my chairman must have thought of one strong factor of mine, that I have a passion for a vision. I've been possibly teaching over 30 odd years, teaching and changing the landscape and the thought process of young minds, right from school children to the adolescents. And one of my biggest dreams in my life is build a passion for a vision. I normally move into a totally discomfort situation to the parents when I ask my first question to the children when they come to me for counseling, what is your dream in life? I never ask a question, what do you want to do? What do you want to become? Because driving the dreams of this young is the most important and challenging factor. So today, we have great panelists in the front of me where I'll have to do a less of work and more of the talk from their side. And let us hear out from each one of them their wisdom. I'll just try to introduce the topic just to create a stimulus in the audience. You probably must have really a reasonable amount of coffee and tea must have stimulated you. So maybe in the next 45 minutes, I try to share our thoughts. These are personal opinions. I do understand that everybody's thought process may not be homogeneous. But what is important, what I see here, people from different age groups, young and old. So I would possibly say, if they are old, try to become young. If they are young, try to become a little younger, because that would help my panelists to put you into a comfort level. What is my thought of Gen Z? Generation Z comprises of people born between 1996 and 2010. The generation's identity has been shaped by the digital age, climate anxiety, shifting financial landscape, and the COVID pandemic. The Gen Z is currently the second largest generation, with the millennials before and the alpha later. They're called as, I call them as the digital natives. The first generation grew up with the internet as a part of their daily life. The generation spans wide range. The oldest generations have jobs and mortgages, where the youngest are still at the pre-teens. Globally, the Gen Zs is growing fast. The Gen Zs make up a quarter of the population of the Asia Pacific by 2025. So there's a wake-up call for all of us. So what do we do? What are their concerns? So what I did was, I shot a few questions to my students in the overseas of a similar age group and found out what do they think about the Gen Zs and how do they react to the current situation and how look more futuristic. The earlier panelists spoke about one single factor which really influenced me is passion. Passion for a vision. And we need to build that passion among these young. So let us look at what the Gen Z think about it. This is my personal view. The first thing is non-traditional education. People do not want to go into the conventional roller coaster. If you talk to any student personally, I normally say they don't like to have a classroom for more than 30 minutes because they want to get the things more streamlined with shorter span thinking. This is the first important thing all of us should understand. No 1 hour classes. I've been teaching 30 years plus. The first day when I used to go to the class, I used to first send my resumes to all my students and say, this is me, please challenge me. And I'll be the happiest person when someone gets up in the class and says, look, I can speak better than you, I have better information than you. That makes me to say that you can be optimistic, but you can fail. We all are in the kind of a generation mode where we think that we need to become trophy winners, numerical marks. I was in one of the colleges in Delhi for the NAC accreditation under the government of India. I went to a college and I met the principal and I asked him, how does you do the eligibility for admissions? He said, everybody has to get 100 out of 100. I said, fine. Do you mean to say 100 out of 100 in literature? He said, yes, even languages. I said, maybe even Shakespeare would have failed in this situation. The point is, are we looking at the numbers, the marks as the criteria? I think Karkhanis will agree with me that almost 30% of the people who have set up companies in the Silicon Valley are dropouts from the universities. Steve Jobs, when he made his first presentation at Stanford, said, this is the first time I'm entering a university. Henry Ford made the ugliest car, put it in the middle of the city, and priced the highest, and people bought them. McDonald Brothers made milkshakes initially, set up the restaurant which we buy today. I can go on. Starbucks was never started by people from great schools, but they became great entrepreneurs. So the point of understanding today is we need to be non-traditional, number one. Two, career-based programs. The first panelist spoke heavily on career-based programs. Now how do I look at it? I work for the Economic Development Council and the accreditation part of the Singapore government. One of my examples I would like to cite is when they make a curriculum, they look at 5 years ahead. So the curriculum is to be designed and shaped. The first people they call are the people who make the policy for the government. The second people they call are captains of the industry. Then they ask them what's the kind of roadmap you are building and what you need, what kind of manpower you need, what kind of skill set you require, and then they call the academicians to structure the curriculum. So we need to rethink on this process. Finance is a major concern. Not everybody can afford expensive schools and colleges. So we need to prepare a moderate system of tuition structure, financial structure to get quality education. Then comes self-education. The COVID has taught people how to do self-learning. So young Gen Zs look for shorter and self-learning. Tech-driven. I'm going to see a lot of panelists speaking going to be tech-driven technologies, how they can shape the young generation. Please remember, the Gen Zs are not looking at the traditional models, even in the villages, even in the semi-urban sectors. So we need to change. Diversity and inclusion, extremely important. 10 years ago, I spoke in one of the sessions in the IITs asking them for an interdisciplinary approach to problem solving. And in the mechanical engineering stream, I said introduce psychology. Some of them were hostile to this thought. I said, but you're talking about product design. The first thing is you need to think. So when you go and buy a product, the first thing impacts you is how does it look. Apple hired 10 psychologists and 5 musicians in 2018. One of my students is working in the design sector. So I asked him, what made you to do that? Because he said, the impact that creates, how does it look? What is the kind of musical system it has? So you need to have an interdisciplinary approach to learning, and that will possibly scale up these young generation to become more stimulus. And last and very important is the mental wellness. Children of a young age to the old, which I see, school children are so much burdened, both by the teachers and the parents. I would just put a warning signal to the parents, please don't look at numbers. Marks is not the only index of evaluating your child. Give a holistic approach. Cross-cultural learning is important. Improve your language proficiency. Build them that confidence. Most of the time, we tend to talk about failures. And I'm a man who normally believes that failures make a difference. There are 2 types of failures. One is a dumb failure and there's a smart failure. The dumb guy will possibly has failed because he has not done anything. But a smart failure is, I've done the best, but I still fail, no problems. Because the willingness to fail gives you the ability to succeed. So I tell my students, fail, fail, fail. No innovation has come today without failures. Alfred Nobel built up the most powerful bomb after he felt how many people are going to die, the dynamite, and how the Nobel House came. The point is today is what you need is to make and listen to the young generation. So what do we need to do? There are 3 stakeholders which I understand. One is the academia, the second is the industry, third is the civil society. So institutions of higher education should change the teaching, learning, delivery system that will create empathy, partnership, reshaping college campus life. We should see how more students come on campus versus sitting at home. To find ways to train top from the employer's point of view, to find ways to retain top talent and provide life-work balance, experience, create a conducive environment. We have a very important panelist here who are going to talk from the employer's point of view. I consider 4 tools of success: flexibility, growth, mentorship, and convenience. Your course has to be flexible. It cannot be rigid. So the learning process has to be given partly by 90% of the students, survey said, on a hybrid mode. They don't want everything on the classroom. So what I used to do is experiment, is take them outside the campus, discuss the topic, it works well. One of the experiments I did in a B school was slightly different. I went to Italy and I went to a business school and I found an extremely interesting area where you had 2 faculty members teaching in a business school. One was from the academia, another person was from the industry. So the first person taught the concepts, the second person taught the industry relevant to the concept, and the students were asked to work on a project. And I found the kind of enthusiasm the students found, the young talented people, when they come out of the class, they have understood the concept automatically. So we need to drive this kind of model, build up a system. What about the society? The Gen Z generation listen to their mental wellness. So I leave it at this point, and let's listen to the wisdom of the panelists and their views. At the end of the session, I'm sure you will carry strong message and an intellectual exercise as how you will enrich the Gen Zs at home, at the college, at the workplace, and transform them to make Gen Zs better citizens of tomorrow. I stop at this point and come to the questions. I'm sure all of the panelists have their questions and they are excited. They're just waiting for me to move there and push their views. For the benefit of the audience, the questions are very straightforward. The first question is, how does Gen Z view education today? A very broad perspective. Which are the influencing factors that impact Gen Z generation? The second question is, what does Gen Z prioritize, which is very important, while taking admissions in the higher and professional education? Are they looking at the campus? Are they looking at the curriculum? Are they looking at the teachers? Are they looking at the accreditation? Or they are looking at what kind of students are going to come to my class? How can we educators provide the tools to achieve their ambitions with each group of people? What, or I would say, with the influence of AI, which we are talking now, how do academic institutions build their teaching time and use non-traditional methods? Very important. To the employers, and there could be some of the people who are here, how can employers provide flexibility, growth, and convenience to Gen Zs? Because the Gen Zs are looking for these kind of elements. How you can create a workplace, an in-person experience to those young employees to get more excited. As Gen Zs look for security of work, which is very important, growth, and are highly ambitious, what will be the right approach to handle them and how it can impact for a long stay and become more productive? Gen Zs are today under stress, mental instability. How will employees mediate this whole process? To the civil society and all of us, how will society benefit from this paradigm shift? And will Gen Zs build a sustainable world? What is the role of non-state actors in accepting the Gen Zs as a new version of socio-economic transition? And how do we ensure their contribution to societal issues? Because I consider, as an educationalist, that if education is not able to impart knowledge to resolve societal issues, it's not merely certifications that's going to make sense. I would rather have a person without a certificate but with skills, which Google is actually doing this. So long-term, degrees and certificates will make a secondary importance, skills will make the primary importance. With this, I end my conversation and I leave it to the panelists to take this conversation and make it more crisp and stimulate so that you can enjoy the lunch which is awaiting you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Sathyanarayan, for setting the context. Thank you very much, EU Council and my teacher, mentor, Dr. Uday Salunkeji, for giving this opportunity to speak. It's been a serious session since morning, but I thought let's add some fun, some jazz to the Gen Z. A 2-minute quick video will really give you an idea of who is this Gen Z we are talking, who is this animal we are talking about. We are building businesses around it, we are building communities around it, but who is this Gen Z? Have a look at this video. It will open up your mind to a lot of ideas about Gen Zs, a lot of opportunities and how to work with them and what are the characteristics. Can you play the video, please? Sound. 1 sec. Huh?
Are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter.
And to me, it says you are trained in technology. That's very good. Are you adept at Excel?
No.
PowerPoint?
No.
Publisher?
Not really.
Exactly in what area of technology are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter. You know, the big ones.
I'm surprised you didn't say Facebook.
That's for old people, like my parents. That's funny.
Well, Amy, when you're working for me, you have to have those kind of research skills because I'll send you things for you to comb through and get the answers and send them to me. So for that, you got to be really good at technology.
For stuff like that, no problem. I'll just ask Siri.
You'll just ask Siri?
You know, Siri tell me this, Siri find me that. We're all good at getting you the answers.
Tell Siri I want you ready to go at 8 sharp each and every morning.
I don't understand
What don't you understand?
what you just said.
You don't understand be ready to go?
No. You said 8, right?
Yes.
8 like in the morning 8?
Yes, in the morning.
Yeah. That kind of doesn't work for me. Who gets up at 8?
I do.
I Skype with my French boyfriend in Paris until like 3 in the morning. I don't even get to Starbucks until like 10, where I order my grande chai tea latte, 3 pumps, skim milk, light water, 2% foam, extra hot, but not too hot. So if it's okay, I work best in the morning at 10:45.
Wow. Amy, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Why are you so negative? I can sense your hostilities, and right now I am not feeling very safe. I've been here for over 5 minutes, and the only nice thing you have said to me was nice resume, which I typed all night for this meeting with you. You've given me no guidance, no validation, no encouragement, no supervision. Is there an HR director somewhere?
HR director?
Yes, I need to speak to someone. I may have to take off today as a mental health day.
Take the day off. Amy, look at me. You don't work here.
Are you firing me?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure you see this kind of audiences in your classrooms, at your homes, a generation of youngsters who don't conform to timelines, values. They are demanding, right? They have a very, very limited attention span. They go on convenience, they go on technology, and then we are trying to train them to build the future of the nation and the world, right? So it's not only about Gen Zs anymore, it's about the ecosystem who is going to help them cultivate and grow. Just a few slides quickly, I can understand we are between your lunch, but this is some characteristics of Gen Zs. In God, we believe, and then in Google, right? So, yeah, they don't know what to do when what to do. So confused. But this is something interesting I want you to have a look. This is from our Harvard Business School 23 research. We have been talking about skills like, AI, ML, cybersecurity, XYZ. But these are some of these skills which corporates, the Fortune 200 companies are looking at, how Gen Z feel confident about some skills and how corporations look about these skills. So very interesting insights which came up this year. Same year, organizations find Gen Z unprepared for workforce. So I'm just trying to take you through the model on what a Gen Z kind of a person thinks and what the employer or the recruiter thinks. And if you see these skills, you will see there is no tech skill, coding skill, sustainability skill, and AI and ML and future of work on which we are building education business models and corporate models. These are the top 20 skills which were recognized this year by the top 250 Fortune companies. This is a Harvard Business Publishing survey. So we really need to rethink what are we teaching? Because a lot of knowledge, information, and content Gen Zs consume on their own. You don't need to teach them. Just an example again, because there are a lot of people from the university education system, how do youngsters stay updated today? It's about human-computer interface. They are on WhatsApp. That's a digital-first mindset and a digital-first generation for the Gen Z. And we as institutions are putting front-page ads in newspapers. The Gen Z's parents also don't read those newspapers. People are with very, very limited attention spans. It's about private currency. I'm not even talking about cryptocurrency. The future of currency is private. Started from probably a barter system to whatever gold coins, and it's about Google Pays, and we are talking to Gen Zs of this nature. In God and Believe and in Chat GPT, right? Generative AI, the future, we all are talking about it. Are our academicians using generative AI, Chat GPT in academics, in classrooms? In fact, many of the Ivy Leagues are today, and in India also, I'm sure, they are encouraging the students to use Chat GPT to enhance their learning. So that inclusiveness needs to happen, that democratization of teaching and learning both needs to happen if you want to work with that girl in the video. And that's same is happening from a very serious thing like medical services. Right? There are devices, there are commodes and toilets which are going to tell you your entire blood test. Nobody goes anywhere henceforth. Wearables is something which we have seen. Also, these are the jobs where Gen Z is looking at working. The future of digital first jobs is going to be this kind of jobs, right? So typically a T-shaped learning, very, very popular concept. We have been spending a lot of time on the depth of the T, the degrees, but Sathyanarayan, as you said, I could summarize what you said, and the theme I will just tell you, it's about degrees don't matter. That's a trend happening globally. Students want jobs, corporates want skilled employees. So where is the role of degrees is something which need to rethink. As you also mentioned about Google, it's not only Google, sir, I must tell you here, there are many, many corporations who are looking at bunch of certificates. So it's about designing your own MBA. It's not about degrees. So degrees may, over a period of time, take a back seat. Again, what I was in the previous session when Dr. Salunke conducted that session, I said it's about democratizing education at scale. Many big Ivy League schools, including our IITs and IIMs, are now using digital technology to make very world-class content available, accessible. And the future of education for this audience looks like employer-funded education. So money is not going to be a challenge for studying further. Employers are going to pay you to develop skills for these Gen Zs where they can deploy these skills. Right? So this is the depth of the T, as we know. The width is now, so these are the skills. AI is great, but it's about negotiation, it's about design thinking, it is about entrepreneurship, it is about sustainability, and putting this all together to create digital first jobs. Right? So quickly, next 30 seconds, 3 challenges if you really want to work with Gen Z. Major challenges which educationists and corporations are facing today. One is definitely with a highly distracted student. Students are not interested in studying or reading long formats. They have a very, very limited span of attention. There's a major challenge with academicians as a community today, right? Academicians are not tuned in this country and across the world, I must tell you with our experience, they are not able to use new age teaching tools, new age teaching techniques, case studies, simulations, or better tools than that to engage the classroom. Today's classrooms are theatrical, right? Our students are on Netflix, on WhatsApp, they book things on Zomato and on Ola, so they need experience and interactivity. Our academicians, faculties are still not there. So faculties need to train, and finally it's about grooming students for a plug and play career. Companies are suffering. Gen Zs cannot be blamed alone. We need to address these 3 things, yeah? So quickly, this you've seen, workforce. This is where it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Karkhanis. You really did. Samir did a good job. At least set the tone for the process. I think here we'll try to talk a little more because she has a presentation to do it, and maybe those points will be more relevant to in our context.
Yes, I will talk about we talk about what Generation Z, how would they think, how flexible they have to be, but what do we know today, in which areas they will work? I tried to make an overview. What are these future technologies, or in which areas they're going to work? And I divided them in the technologies of the future, changing environment, and future of living. So if I start with the technology of the future, we cannot go over the automotive industry, where we see a lot of new opportunities, a lot of new research, also in battery development. Then we have data intelligence. Every day we can say we never had so much data as we had yesterday, as we had 1 minute ago. So mega data and use of AI are extremely important because we have too much data for people to deal with it. Cyber security is more and more important every day. And also quantum computing. Web 3.0 is coming. I cannot tell when and how, but it will be even more integrated than Web 2.0 that we have now, that is coming into our phones, into our homes. Web 3.0 will, with blockchain, we come to also smart contracts, tokens. We know that will change the whole world, how trade is doing, how we do business with each other, and also machine learning. You see on the other side, the estimated market for blockchain in 2030 is $1.4 trillion US. I didn't know how, I put it down in numbers so you can see how huge the growth is. Metaverse. Maybe after work every afternoon we will go to make holiday in Metaverse. We'll have our own avatars who will go to Metaverse shops, who will go to Metaverse beaches. Who knows how fast this will come. And also AR, VR, all new developments. And changing environment. You know, in 2050, Europe wants to be zero gas emissions area, let's say. But for this reason, we have to have at least 60% of our energy from sustainable sources. And for now, we have less than 30%. And from this less than 30%, we have 60% from hydro energy. So there is a big journey ahead of us. Efficient use of resources. You see the date there, 25th of July 2022. That was the overshoot day, the day on which all countries on Earth used their resources for this year. So we certainly need to do something if we want to live in an environment that we want to pass on to our children and grandchildren. Digital transformation. Now we talk about fintech, legal tech, insurtech, prop tech. This will all change the very traditional businesses like legal services, insurance services, real estate. Future of living is home of the future. Even now we all have smart devices in our homes. It will become smarter and smarter. Agriculture of the future. The plant-based food market is growing the fastest. It's growing 18% on year and estimated until 2030 to be worth $162 billion. There is also increasing in productivity of farming, like city farming, urban farming.
Madam, you got 2 minutes.
I'm finishing slowly. Smart healthcare. Biotechnology and genomics. For example, I heard a lot of CRISPR here in India. In Europe is not allowed for agriculture. Then medical imaging is not the medical imaging itself, it's the AI connected to the medical devices. And robotic surgery. Because I don't want just to talk, I prepared also opportunity. There is a big investment also in Slovenia in medical sector, and they will employ 500 people until 2026. So if you need an opportunity in pharmaceutical business, this is your opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. That is pretty inspiring about your country and your technological upgradation. And I'm sure that all of us are now getting tuned to the system, and we hope to support your country in the same endeavor. Yeah. May I request Xavier? I would like you to talk more from your perspective of how do you look at, you're from the hospitality industry. So when you're talking about it, how do you look at the Gen Zs coming into your institution? What are the key factors you look at it? What are the parameters you look at it? I'll appreciate your answer.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, the Council of the UA Chamber of Commerce. It's an honor to be here. Thank you. Talking about Generation Z. So Generation Z is the girls or the boys was born from 1995, more or less, until 2010, 2012. When I think in generation, I think in my daughter. He was born in 2002. So I have the same discussion that the video, it was a fantastic example that what a Generation Z is. But even though that this generation is similar in every culture, in every part of the world, so it's not the same, for example, in the culture of India and in the culture of Spain. Even if you think that the culture in the whole Europe is the same, it's not the same. Actually, it's quite different from different perspectives, from the different countries. And linked in the generation with the higher education, which is the main thing today. For example, I have a lot of students from abroad. I mean, most of my students in my masters are from Asia. Asia Pacific, I have most of them are from India, actually. And the culture is completely different. For example, one of the things that we realized after many years is the way of think of these people who are coming from abroad. They are thinking in the return of investment of these studies. Talking about always about the generation, the Generation Z. But for example, for us, for the Spanish culture, for the Spanish people, they started their studies at the bachelor, at the first step of the higher education, just because they have to do it. They are not thinking in the return of investment. Actually, they are thinking into what they really love to do in the future. But the main thing now is, okay, what is going to be the future? What is going to be the jobs in that future? Because the jobs today are not going to be the same jobs in the future, especially with coming up the artificial intelligence. Of course, they changed everything. That day, so 22nd of November 2022 was the day. So everything started to change. And in that sense, so we have a different mentalities between at least the Spanish and the other cultures like an Indian culture. And it's really interesting to compare how the same generation, which was born almost in the same year, they think so differently. For example, for us, if you ask in one Spanish class, how many people, how many students want to become an entrepreneur, in 100, maybe 1 or 2 raise the hand. For sure, in this culture, or in this country, thanks God, more than only 1, 2 are raising the hand. So you can see, I'm not from Spain, I'm from Argentina originally, so it took me at least 2 or 3 years to understand the Spanish culture, even if we talk in the same language, or almost in the same language. But it was difficult to understand what is the culture of Spain and most of the south countries of Europe. So when I say Spain, more or less it's the same in Portugal, Italy, Greece, all these countries more or less have the same culture. Because of the Mediterranean Sea, I don't know, but it's like that.
Thank you. Thank you. So probably I understand that multicultural mode comes in a different way, maybe of the same generation, and people think differently. That's number one. And in fact, Spain, Spanish language has been one of the important languages even in India. Like German and Spanish have been much more learned in our country. In fact, Texas has almost 52% of the population who are Spanish speakers. So it does show that how your country has really moved out. But it's interesting to know that entrepreneurial skills, what you say, is you see more in our country versus the other countries, because every country's generation thinking process is different. Thank you very much. Let me hear from Mr. Banerjee, your thoughts. You're a person from the industry. I would like you to put your thoughts. How do you look at the young generation, the Gen Zs, when they come to you as interns, as young people with different thoughts, and what are the key areas which you actually look in them to make them to stay long, because they like different work styles, they like different ways of interpreting issues. So how do you think that it becomes a challenge, and how you can convert them into opportunities?
Good afternoon, everyone. There is an advantage of speaking last. We have already run out of time, and therefore I can be very short and crisp. And the problem of being short is that most of it you will not be able to understand. So I was wondering, what is it that I should say? That it should be short, quick, and yet meaningful. And that's Gen Z is all about. Who are they? Between 14 years and 27 years of age, more or less. If you go to Google Auntie, they will say 12 years to 27. It doesn't matter. There is a dichotomy between this Gen Z as I see as an employer. The dichotomy is they have very little patience. They are looking for immediate gratification, which means I see something, I read in one sheet, within 10 seconds or 15 seconds, I need to know the WhatsApp culture. Less patience. They are not willing to listen to a 45 minutes class of a professor. Unfortunate truth is that, and most of you here are educationists. The other dichotomy is 180 degrees difference, is that they have a huge dream. They are dreaming which is beyond our imagination. So what is it as an employer we are looking at? You as educationists should perhaps focus on. I'm not going to get into technology, AIs of the world, because they have all been spoken about. There are three things, ladies and gentlemen, we as a teacher needs to teach the next generation so that they get good jobs, if not become proficient employers and entrepreneurs. Skill number one, develop their IQ, intelligence quotient. This absolute foremost skill. In this, because I'm short of time, I will just tell you 6 stuffs in this IQ which you guys need to focus upon. Believe me, if you do that, you are 100% almost that they would get a good job and become a better entrepreneur. The first skill in IQ is they need to understand finance. There is no option but for them to understand money. The next skill they need to understand is operations, how to make it happen. If he or she is running a restaurant, he needs to know how to make the food on time, how to buy the vegetables in the morning, and how to deliver the customers who come within those 5, 6, 7 minutes. I'm being short. Third skill is the unique selling proposition. They need to understand, why am I there to make a difference? What is my USP? Which is nothing else but the skill of selling and marketing. Nothing exists in this world, in any business, including yours, unless you are able to sell what you want to sell. So the first one is finance. You must teach money. You must teach operations, how to deliver. Next, you must teach what's the unique selling proposition, how to communicate. The fourth thing, perhaps we don't teach at all, which should be part of IQ, is risk management. There is nothing on this earth, there is no risk. Including all of you who have come here, there were risks. You are sitting here risking that, oh, what a lousy session it could be. But still, what to do? The lunch is there, so that's the gratification. The fifth one is technology, ladies and gentlemen. without understanding technology. These youngsters, 14 to 27 years, they understand technology. You saw that lovely video which he showed, Samir showed you. She knows about WhatsApp. She knows about all this instant gratification. But what about the larger technology? Perhaps she is not even thinking of it. Maybe she is. But it's very important technology. Please teach them technology. Be it an HR person, finance person, accounting person, without technology, no one can stand. And the last one, we are all zero if we don't understand human resources. We are all zero. We have to understand every manager, every individual is human resource manager. Human resource, nothing to do with those HR colleagues. IQ, just to tell you, finance, operations, unique selling proposition, risk, technology, and HR. You will say, how do I remember all this? FOURTH, fourth. Finance, operations, unique selling proposition, risk management, technology, and human resources. Remember these 6 steps. If you can explain this to the next generation, they perhaps wouldn't need Harvard Business School proficiency from Dr. Samir. Having said that, I said IQ, I need 2 others. We need 2 others. IQ, and the next one is EQ, emotional quotient. Ladies and gentlemen, if the next generation doesn't have emotional quotient, they're big zero. What is EQ? It is all about dealing with others. It's all about dealing with another human being. It's all about motivating others, giving leadership, being able to deal with others. If we don't have EQ, that IQ makes no sense. You will see, please remember, in your own class, the first boy or the first girl, I'm quite sure in your school, perhaps is nowhere. High IQ, but God, he or she didn't have EQ. Nobody told that you should have high EQ. The parent didn't explain to them, Baba, you have to deal with others. It's very important. Every human being. They may not be as intelligent as you, but they are all human beings. Teach them what you know. We lack training EQ. The world cannot progress unless we have IQ and EQ. And the third, which is perhaps not spoken about, is LQ, love quotient. They must love what they're doing. It's complaining, oh, this job is bad, my boss is bad, I have to get up in the morning, my parents are not good. No, you have to love what you do. Each one of us want to say, must enjoy what you do. If we enjoy what we do, if we can deal with others, and know those 6 steps of IQ, chances are the next Gen Z, we are prepared for a new tomorrow. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think you actually summarized the whole process and made my job more easier in a nutshell. I think I will leave this at this point to the audience because it's more or less that we have covered most of the points, but maybe some of the questions which can, make us more challenging, we'll appreciate that. Pointed questions, no generic, that will be more appreciated. Anybody in the audience? Yes, please.
Good afternoon. Okay. Yes. Hello. Good afternoon to everyone. So I'm Pramod Shah.
Yes.
I'm the chairman of the Institute of Computer Science and incoming president of Bombay Management Association. So there are 1 or 2 observations. One is to mention about all technicalities and technical subject, technical technology, technical efficiency in the education. So what are your opinion about artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence, what role it can play in the education field?
All right, your question is, how will AI play an important role in the technology, in the industry, or what you?
No, in the education field.
In education, okay. I think
Thank you, sir.
you could be the right person.
So AI has already started playing its role in education in 3 areas. One, it's helping faculty to design syllabuses, timetables, content. It is helping faculty members to write cases, to create short notes and references, make presentation content and PPTs which are real time. So AI is helping faculty. It has been helping students for personalized learning. Not all students are the same in the classroom. Everybody learns differently with different intensities. So AI allows you to create personalized learning solutions. And AI is also helping for alumni engagements, for connectivity, campus to corporate solutions. So it helps and integrates corporates, academic institutions, and the learner centricity comes in the picture. So AI is already there, and it is learning education very, very fast, and it's not too far that the academician or the professor will be the assistant of the AI. So faculty's role is changing from a teacher to a facilitator because AI is overtaking it already.
Yes. Would you like to add some point? Because you've also been talking on technology.
A lot of people talk about being afraid about the AI and the future that machines will bring to us. But I must say that AI is learning. We people are the ones who have imagination, who are innovative, at least for now. So I'm not afraid that AI will take over the role that we have with our imagination and our innovation.
I might just add up one point, particularly just give as an example in the public health space, how AI can be an important driving force. One of the more important things in the public health is I would say, diagnostics. Today we are actually looking at MRIs, and we have someone here, Vedant, my close friend, who will speak a little about how AI intervention can happen almost in every field. He works in agriculture to the highest level of technology, to ISRO. So my point of saying, I think your question is very valid. We need to look at AI and use AI as an intervention. AI is an unbiased thinking process. I'll give an example. That I was in Warsaw, I went to a clinic and went to a doctor. The patient was sitting there. The doctor never touched the patient, and he asked him a few questions. But before the doctor could diagnose, there was a robot which actually tested the patient and gave 90% of the problem which the patient had to the doctor. By the time the patient went to the doctor, he actually got the complete diagnosis, which is unbiased, please remember. So it increases the efficiency. See, we need to know how to use AI and how you can scale it up in improving the quality of life. So I think that's what makes sense. Vedant, would you like to add some points on that?
Very good points, and really like the view of ma'am on AI being positive, because everyone's misguided by the Terminator coming and all that. So for a very long time in future, AI will not be independent. Probably 200, 300 years it might, but humans and AI will work together to create a better future for all. And it's not for one person, two persons, it's for everyone. And the example you had given on healthcare, the best doctors will not be everywhere. They'll be in the cities. How do I ensure a person in rural, in Baramati or a place like that gets good healthcare? There is where AI comes in, building the intelligence of the best doctors and providing it at scale to a lot of places where they might not have the best doctors. Because it's not their fault that they're living there. It's not their fault that they're born there. As a government, as a medical institution, it's our role to ensure everyone gets equitable goodness in health, education, a lot of places. So that's where AI will come in. And that's where Professor Satya and I are really looking to bring a lot of artificial intelligence for good. And one more point, since this is about sustainability and SDGs, a majority of SDGs for UN will be achieved with artificial intelligence. It's almost impossible to reach that scale of an impact without AI. So really ask you all and request you all to remove the negative lens of AI. It's only positive, and it's taking our children further, and they will lead a much better life than what we are leading today, and courtesy artificial intelligence solely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vedant, for that input. Any other questions? I think it's covered.
Panelists, thank you very much for your excellent insights. And my name is Pankaj Muthe, and I work for a company called Click. We are in data analytics. I lead the education initiatives. So my question to you is, we spoke about the Gen Z being highly flexible, highly little attention lifespan and all that. So values that we were built on, essentially, and that translated us into being better at work, at studies, etc. And I'll give some examples. Hard work, punctuality, respect, get up early in the morning, committed to work. So are these values going to be replaced by some other values which will be more related to what they are going to do in the future? Or these values are actually not really relevant for the future of Gen Z? And I would like to ask Robin specifically, is that going to translate into a workforce which will be reliable? Because if you don't have things like hard work, punctuality, does that also mean that they are not reliable, they can't be trusted? And does that pave a path for machines to take over? Because that's exactly what machines will be able to do better, being more committed, being on time, something that will be predictable for us to manage as an employer, as a company. So, insights.
Good, valid question.
Yep.
Valid question. I think the biggest issue here is, will AI take over our life? As he's rightly saying, whether no, it will not. There are two schools of thoughts, but revolutions, industrial revolutions, technology revolutions have happened over hundreds of years, and it has never taken over. But doesn't matter, we will not have to discuss on that. It is there is definite possibility that the new Gen Z age is looking at the world differently. As I said, they have lesser patience, but they have a dream. And it is now up to us to inculcate these habits, which you just said, punctuality, which is nothing of a love quotient. They must love what they're doing. They must be able to deal with other human beings, which is EQ. And they need to learn which is IQ. If you look at this world around, if somehow we as teachers and parents can imbibe this habit of the next generation, these three value systems, we would definitely have a better world with AI coming into the picture. There are WhatsApp messages and YouTubes. You will see, oh, the next generation is gone, we are all dead. It is not true. You can think what is going to happen is AI doesn't have empathy. Human beings have. And one more thing, information. As of now, when you talk about ChatGPT, which is the most plausible AI, which many of us use, they are currently dealing with 1 trillion data, just for information, information. You know what human beings, we are having data when we deal with 100 trillion data. Ladies and gentlemen, we process 100 trillion data, and they process 1 trillion data, 99 trillion data to go. It is a long way off before AI can kill you and me.
Thank you, Mr. Banerjee. I think probably, let me do a little small summary. The question was very relevant. I think your point of understanding is very clear, that human values have to be built. Technology alone cannot be the only factor for us to depend on. But what is the role of the society, civil society? What is the role of a teacher? What is the role of mentors? So everyone need to change and build kind of mentorship to these people, sit across to them. How many hours do we sit with our children and talk to them personally? What are your issues? Let's be very practical in an urban kind of society like Mumbai. So this is the first thing what I always tell to the parents, that don't give them a forceful issues and make them confused. Leave the children to them, sit with them, understand. I had a parent who said that I want to send my child to do computer science, but the child was interested in marine sciences. She wants to understand what is below the sea. It took 1 year for me to convince them. The child really finally got successful, and I got successful. She wanted to save the lives below the sea. She works today at National Geographic Channel. My humble request, one of the panelists, is we are parents. We are the mentors. So we need to change and do multiple roles. And unless and until we do this, we can't possibly make these Gen Zs more productive. So I will probably conclude that in this whole conversation of my great panelists, one is technology will remain and will continue to remain, but use technology in the right and the productive way, A. 2, bring the human value system through mentoring, understanding the young generation. give them the space to think. Teachers should change their role models, not just as classroom visitors, but become more personal and understand them when they are in mental stress. Industries to look at people, youngsters, with these kind of questions, which Mr. Banerjee has put it very rightly, so that each one of us take responsibility and make this young generation to become more productive and save this planet from disaster. I ended this conversation, and I would say that we should possibly make an attempt, the willingness to make this change. And I would always say that quitters don't win and winners don't quit, and let's be winners. Thank you very much. I hope the session is over, and with the permission of my chairman, I conclude this session, and maybe